Hi, you're listening to Childless and Moving Onward. This is the place where we talk about thriving in life when you're a woman who is childless, not by choice, regardless of the road that brought you to childlessness. Hi, and welcome to episode 59 of Childless and Moving Onward. This is a podcast where I explore the intricate challenges, the unexpected moments, and the roller coaster of emotions that come with being childless by circumstance and not by choice. I'm your host, Gail Miller. I'm a life coach, a physician, a speaker, and I walk the path of childlessness because I am also childless not by choice. So join me as I guide you through another important conversation. I try to infuse bits of humor when it's fitting, and there are always heartfelt insights. The topic today is pity. The pity that others pile on us. I mean, just saying the word feels icky. I mean, I just despise when I have to deal with other people's pity. Now, I do know that when people heap their pity on us, they think it's helpful usually, that it's showing that they care, that they empathize. It's anything but that. For many, the pity isn't about being helpful to us. It's them expressing their discomfort with our childlessness, their discomfort with our pain. They don't want to deal with that pain. They don't know how. They can't deal with it, actually. They're uncomfortable. They don't know what to do or what to say, and they deal with it through pity. A few months ago, I think it was actually at the end of last year. Through a women's group locally, somebody decided to start a walking group. It was through a general women's group, so I knew anyone who showed up, besides me, would probably have kids. Sometimes I don't join groups like that, and sometimes I do, but I join with the plan to make sure I focus some of the conversation about something other than kids. So I decided I'd go to the first one. And it was just the two of us, the woman who organized it, and myself. We actually had a really nice conversation as we walked. We talked about so many different things. Surprisingly, she didn't ask me if I had kids. And she didn't talk about her own kids at the beginning. But then we started talking about our professional lives, and I don't remember how that led to her talking about her kids, which was fine. It actually flowed. It made sense to talk about her kids. And it actually was quite a long time in our walk before that even first came up. And then I started talking about what I do. And I said I work with women who are childless not by choice. And I explained the importance of this work to me because that's my situation. And I want to help others get to the point that I'm at. And then it happened. The pity look. You know that look. The pity response. Oh, that's so terrible. Oh, but it's so needed what you do. And then as quickly as the pity started, she changed the conversation. The pity was dripping from her. But she was obviously incredibly uncomfortable and needed to get away from this conversation as quickly as possible. And so we did. And I just when it came to the point of the path where, we could go a little bit longer, or, okay, let's go this way to get round back to the car. I'm like, let's go this way, go round back to the car. Because by that point, I want this over with. Now that evening, my husband and I happened to have a holiday party to go to, and a relative of my husband started questioning me about my coaching. I know her. I've dealt with her, and I know where the conversation was heading. I know it was going to end up with more of the pity party. And after dealing with it that morning, I'd had enough. And I knew that when, not if, but when her pitying started, there was a good chance I wasn't going to respond politely. I would tell her off. My patience was gone, and I knew I wasn't going to deal with it in a respectful or beneficial way for either of us. I didn't want to lose it for my own sake. So I didn't answer her question, and instead I changed the subject. And she persisted. And I just kept not answering and changing the subject over and over again. Over and over to keep from having to deal with the pity. But at one point, it actually became a little humorous to me. And in hindsight, now it's funny. Her frustration at not getting the answers and me just moving on. But anyways, that day, the morning of pity, I had enough, and I wasn't going to give someone I knew was going to pile more on. I wasn't going to give them the opportunity to do so. Now, for anybody who happens to be listening who isn't childless, not by choice, but you're trying to help someone you care about, you may be wondering why pitying us is a problem. Pity is usually not helpful because it has negative connotations, negative results for both the person giving the pity and the person on the receiving end. It is counterproductive. There's an implicit sense of superiority that comes with pity. When somebody feels pity, often they're unconsciously, or maybe not unconsciously, viewing themselves as being in a better position than the person they pity. It creates a power imbalance with the recipient, ending up feeling inferior. Also, pity can sometimes feel like a performance and inauthentic instead of genuine. The giver feels good about themselves for expressing pity on the receiver, but it doesn't actually address the actual needs of the person on the receiving end. Because usually pity gets expressed, but it doesn't come with any meaningful action to support the person. So it feels hollow and self-serving and insincere. Another problem with being pitied is that it can leave the receiver feeling weak. It doesn't inspire resilience, doesn't inspire action or growth. Instead, it reinforces victimhood and helplessness. Many people want to be seen as resilient, not powerless or incapable. But pity usually focuses on vulnerability and not strength. And pity contributes even more to a problem that we experience being childless, and that is difficulty with connection. It can create or add to emotional distance. It doesn't foster connection because pity creates instead a divide between the person doing the pitying and the person being pitied. Authentic relationships become even more difficult to form. As I mentioned before, pity is a way for the person doing the pitying to relieve their own discomfort. So the focus ends up on the pitier's feelings, on the person being pitied, instead of supporting the person who is in pain. It comes down to the fact that the person feeling badly for someone else's misfortune isn't an actual desire to help. It feels condescending. True empathy and compassion involves recognizing the person's suffering as an equal. It involves taking deliberate action to help the person. The pity from others when you're childless, not by choice, can feel condescending, and it exacerbates feelings of grief, of isolation, or the not enoughness. So let's talk about how to navigate it, because it requires a combination of mindset shifts, boundary setting, and self-compassion. So here are some strategies to help. It's crucial to remember that pity can come from others' discomfort with your childlessness, or from others' discomfort with your pain. Their reactions reflect their biases, not your worth. It is crucial to recognize that. Again, it's a reflection on them and not your innate value. Others' discomfort belongs to them, not you. When you make that mindset shift, it can feel empowering. And that helps so that you can respond from a place of confidence rather than from a place of feeling diminished. Practicing both tender and fierce self-compassion is essential. Fierce self-compassion empowers you to stand up for yourself and set boundaries. It allows you to assert your value beyond societal expectations. It's important to respond calmly but confidently, because that can diffuse the awkwardness. And then it gives others the opportunity to reconsider their assumptions. When you respond with confidence and without apologizing for your childlessness, or without trying to ease their discomfort, what you're doing is signaling to them that you don't view yourself as a failure. It is possible to navigate pity with resilience, while at the same time fostering a sense of empowerment and self-worth, and letting others know that their pity is not needed. What's needed is support. All right, that's it for this episode. I'll be back with you next week. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode and you know someone who could benefit from this podcast, please share it with them and post about it on social media. There are many other women who are looking for this help and would love to know about it. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Childless Path Onward, or on Facebook and YouTube at Path Onward. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.